Howdy, howdy, howdy. Trying to see. I assume this is working. I know my channel was hosting Jam's uh, stream, and I don't know if it'll auto kick me off. I think it just did. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that it was actually running. Um, so apologies to Jam. I was hosting his channel. But it just happens that we were going to be streaming at the same time, so mine's kind of booted his off. But got a lot of things to chit chat about today, and hopefully we'll get to them all before I have to dash off. Um, again, I want to keep people abreast of events that are ongoing, even if they're not entirely housing related, because sometimes you can get some nice goodies from them, even if it's not decor. Curses that we talk about non-decor stuff, but it's still important. So the first thing is we do have the Z-Pre Invitational starting up today. It's going to run from the 7th to the 11th. It's the hoverboard event where you uh, do some races. I don't think they've added any new courses. It's something they had talked about in the past that they would add more and more, or maybe set up some kind of a rotation. But as far as I know, they're going to be the same. Speaking of that, though, they are doing a live stream this later today. It'll be starting at 2 p.m. PDT, 10 p.m. CEST time. So if you want to take a look at the devs playing the actual promotion once I guess it goes live this afternoon, evening, then that would be a good opportunity to drop in, have a hello with them. I don't know if they're going to be doing any kind of giveaways or anything. Um, it's happened on occasion. Sometimes they'll say they're going to and then they forget. So it's just a kind of a gamble. Mostly just go there if you want to just support the developers as they're trying to promote the event and everything. Hey Bones, good morning. Glad you could join. So that's 7th to the 11th for the Z Pre Invitational. Again, it's not housing oriented, but there are a few decor items that you might want to pick up if you haven't participated in the hoverboard. I keep saying hoverboard event before, or if you have and you just need some extras. That's the one where you get the lightning bolt, I don't know the exact name of it, and the burning fire track. I've seen some really creative uses for both. Um, I actually haven't used any of mine, but there's been plenty that have done it, especially the burning track. I've seen a lot of people make some like extended fireplaces that looked really pretty, and those work perfectly for that. So, good opportunity to grab some if you haven't gotten it before, but also some extras if you have. I didn't hear of any new decor being available from the event, but there is like the new hoverboard as an incentive. If you've done the event before and you're just not sure you want to do it again, there might be a chance of getting that. I don't know the details as far as how to acquire it or whatever, but should be fun. I like the racing anyway. It's just something a little different to do. Um, as far as other events, we do have the Double XP event ongoing. It started on the 4th and it's going to be running until the 17th. This is a perfect opportunity, as I said before, to get your uh, alts a little higher up in level, if not cap, depending on how you know active you are in the game, or how much time you have available. You might be able to get all of them up to level 50 before the event ends. It's a pretty lengthy event. I think usually they only run it for the weekend, so having it up for 2 weeks is pretty uh, helpful to, especially for those that don't have access to the game every day like some of us. but can only play on the weekends. This gives them an opportunity, at least a couple of times to be able to take advantage of it. Yeah, Bones. I've seen. I saw that. I've seen a few use it in like laboratory settings, and of course, I think it was Desmus that did the clock tower for like Back to the Future kind of scene. Hey, Kruja. Good morning. You could join. Okay, so we covered the Z pre-invitational, we covered the double XP, and we covered the live stream that Carbine devs will be hosting this afternoon, evening. Um, I do want to remind folks that are on the NA servers or server. Um, Black Dagger Society is hosting a lifestyles housing competition. I think it's their fifth one, third or fourth, fifth. I don't know. They've done several. Um, the deadline for it is the 15th of October, so you basically have a week, one more week to submit your homes for consideration. Again, it's only available only entity players are eligible, just simply due to logistics of passing out prizes and stuff. I keep forgetting to check the thread to see if they've updated about prizes and stuff, but you should be able to find it there in the entity subforum on the official forums. It's right there at the top, the Lifestyles of Nexus thread, and you can probably find out there. There's not a theme requirement or anything. I don't think they specify that it has to be a Shades Eve related type of plot. If you have one, that's welcome, but I think anybody's themes are welcome. Again, I don't think there were any limitations as far as if you won prizes with your house before, if it has to be new, it's okay to be old. I think anything goes as long as you submit it on time, you have it public for the judging period and all that kind of stuff. You think you're going to skip it? Well, I have characters on NA, but I'm not building over there. I guess I could, but it's just on Jabbit, I have the luxury of my main's got like a surplus of monies that I can kind of spread through my alts and stuff, and I don't really have that on NA side. Maybe one day I'll get over there and work a little bit, but probably not. um, Again, reminder for the CBDC for our stream. Again, it's no prizes, no judging, no anything. Completely voluntary. It's just an extra little thing that we do every month. We change the theme and give you guys an opportunity to just kind of break out of your day-to-day. Maybe you're having some builder's block and you need something to kind of distract you, or you're just looking for a small project to tinker around with, or you just want to try something new, maybe break out of your comfort zone. Maybe you always build certain types of things, and this is your chance to try something a little different. Hey, Poi, good morning. I'm glad you could join us. Anyway, that's on going to be the showcase for that is on the 31st. It's right smack dab on Halloween, and of course, this month's theme is monsters. We've already got, I know of at least four or five monsters already that have been submitted for our visual, visiting pleasure. And I know of at least one other that's undecided at the moment. I think it's Poi that hasn't decided yet. And so that'll be another one. And of course, any of those that I might come up with, that'll be included too. But if it's open to both factions, both regions, I have access to all of that. So there's no limitation as far as that. It doesn't have to be a full plot thing. If you just want to just do the monster itself, fine. If you want to build a whole plot around it, great. We'll show it all. But it's, it can be a well-known monster like Dracula, werewolf, mummies, or it can be something that you've made up completely out of your head. As long as you kind of tell me what it's supposed to be, I'm willing to show it, so that's good. Hey, Jim. Glad you could join us. Really like the progress you've been making on the shrine. It's looked like it's coming along really nicely. Guys, some of you builders are like super fast, and I'm like, I tinker around with little things and it takes me forever. So it's amazing to watch, especially since you don't use some of the tools that I do, and I watch you open up the shop, and I'm like, wow, you go so much faster. For me, I would be like creepy crawly, slow. Okay, so today we're going to start off though, while I had planned to focus mostly on some more fall decorations, we did have the announcement yesterday of some new Madame Faye decor that is incoming. I believe it's set to release on the 12th, so it's just a few days away. Um, and so I took the time to go through all of the decor shopper to see if I could pick out all of the new stuff, and try and give a little bit of a preview of some of the things that will be upcoming. Now, all of the things that we're going to show today, I don't know for a fact all of them come through Madame Faye, but they're just things that I haven't seen on the decor lists before. I actually did a full, complete rescan of everything. That little act thing that Katia imported in there recently, that never works for me for some reason. I always have to do a fresh, and it doesn't take that long. It's like a minute or two, so it's no big deal. So straight to it. Let me just bring up the shopper. Now I'm going to have to remember to kind of wiggle around. You'll see me twist the camera, and that's because uh, if I don't, it thinks I've gone AFK and I'll get booted out. So we don't want to do that. Yeah, it does, boy. It does. It really does. I don't have the good imagination just kind of build off the cuff like that. I have to have like a visual reference. I don't know if you're using a picture or anything, Jam. If you aren't, then that's just even more awesome because I'm terrible at that stuff. But I know I'm showing this, but let me just hop over to the other things. Let me get my list. I had like tons of notes here, and my desk is a mess. So if you looked at the news article that I think it was Conguero and them were linking about the new Madame Faye promotion that's upcoming, you will have noticed a screenshot that they had with some objects. You know, there was costumes and other things being shown, like the sky remodel and everything, but there was also some decor. And it's not a real good preview for the little ground platforms, but they are in here. The diorama base, the space one, it looked like a nice dark deep space with lots of stars on it. And then there was the diorama base desert. And you'll notice that it has a little bit of a raised area. There you go. You can kind of see it a little bit. So it's got a little bit of change in elevation. I imagine if we size it up considerably, that'd be like having a nice little bit of a slope on the plot. There were some that were expressing dismay that these were actually decor pieces rather than actual ground options. And while I understand those that would like a space floor, I think having them in these kind of setups, these little chunks that we can move around, gives them a lot more flexibility. Maybe someone that built their underground bunker as an exterior kind of thing would like to have that space enlarged for the ceiling, and then they have a sky underground. And yes, thank you, Bones, for reminding me. I have it actually set up. I just forgot to send it. There we go. There's the tweet. Thank you very much for reminding me. Oh, was you using a reference? Well, that's that's comforting. I don't feel so bad then. I feel so horribly lesser of a builder when I see someone building something and they're like, oh, I just kind of made it up. You know, it's like, no, don't tell me that, because then I'm like, I got notes and sketches and I've got tons of Googled up pictures, and I'm constantly checking because I'm so horrible with it. This house here that I have in the background, that took me a long time to put together because I'd never built a house before. I haven't the slightest idea about, spaces, and then of course we're having to deal with proportions and stuff, and that just really messes things up for me. So anyway, there's the desert diorama strip. Again, yes, it has the edges like the Protostar Instahills do, but I think it'll be a lot more versatile in use than if it was just a ground option. Um, I think it'll be fun just to see what people do with them. Again, the space is, you can't really see it because it's basically perfectly flat, but from the screenshot, it looked pretty nice. Maybe you want to build a ship, but due to the way you built it, you might not want to have an actual window there. This is a way to kind of stick some spacey look out the window, that kind of thing. You have a better control over what's being seen and not seen. Okay, the other ones that were shown in the screenshot that they provided, make sure I spell this right, were some costume pieces. Now, these aren't actually costumes that your character can wear, they're costume decor. This looks like the Chainsaw Massacre guy, or was it Jason, the mask, the hockey mask? It's got, I can't zoom in any closer, but it's got a little band on the back, and it's supposed to be the Sentinel, the Vigilant Mask of the Sentinel. So it's got a little bit of a symbol on the front. I think you could not only use these as a mask to hang it on the wall for decoration, but this would be awesome shoulder pads, uh, knee pads if you want to build a football player. Um, uh, put a couple of them together and you have a weird little basket. I don't know. I figure there's going to be a lot of uses for this too. And then the other one was the vigilant skirt. This I see as someone using for a cape. Um, Curtains, fabrics for in a closet. But remember, these are just decor pieces. They're not actual costume pieces for your character. Mm-hmm. Exactly, Bones. For like a warbot, or maybe just want to give your Grumple some football armor or something. I don't know. But I imagine this will be not just for skirt, but also for a cape. Like this would have been perfect for Little Red Riding Hood, as an example, for last month's uh, DVDC. Add a little extra red for a hood, and you're awesome for that. Okay, the other one was the armor. It's kind of like how I did the dresses for the fairy tale princesses, but theirs is a little different. It's basically just a pole that it's set on as a stand. It's just a armor display. As opposed to using the mannequins, where the mannequins have like no features and stuff, you can have a mannequinless armor display, but it's specifically the Lumini set. So I imagine there will be people that will find ways of using certain bits of this as well. Um, Probably, based, oops, well, see, hold on. I told you I got to remember to do that. Hold on. Let me just relog. The thing does not like me sitting there. No capes, yeah. Oh gosh. It's coming up. Hold on. And I thought I wiggled it, but I guess I didn't. So picky. Let me remember to switch my window back. Coming up, I promise. What were we looking at? The armor, right? Okay. Oh, go away. Let me just, I'll just do it here. I'm here. Okay. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Isn't there a song that has that as a? um, so that was the things that were shown on the screenshot. Now, one of the other things was the animal skull. Um, oh, not gonna let me. Hold on. I think I'm gonna have to do a whole rescan again because it forgot. It crashed on it. So bear with me. Let's do another scan. You can see it just goes through. It says 4,000, but I guess it's more than that. I don't know. It's always 4,000, even though you know they add more stuff. Well, I know a lot of people would love to have like capes and dresses and things like that, but I think they said that it would be real problematic with the clipping. But to me, there's already a lot of clipping issues with like the hats, you know, like especially like with the Orin with their ears popping through the hats. There was somebody showing a screenshot of somebody's hair completely being missing. Um, Things not sitting proper from character race to character race because they're just, you know, they're different. And I think people will just be happy even if the dress clips a little or the cape clips a little. I think that would be fine. I mean, we have weaponry that sticks out funny sometimes or drags through the ground, you know, if it's a little short character. Patience, patience. I don't know why it doesn't remember. I should have probably just. But there was a lot of new things though. I know there's some uh, Shades Eve stuff. Now, there's going to be some NPC ones that we can't actually preview. I can show you that they're there as game files, but it's just got a marker thing in place for it. He doesn't wear any blue at all. That's kind of weird. Well, I wear mine. I mean, but you can see how her ears come through the brim, so that's a little weird. That's one of the reasons why I'm not wearing the preposterous hat because only half of the ear comes out of it on that one. Otherwise, I'd be wearing that. But anyway. Okay, so it's done with the scan. Let's do another search. There we go. This is that new skull that you saw on the desert panel. Um, Pretty creepy looking. It appears hollow. I don't know if you could like size it up really big and be able to walk through the bony nose, but the horns are nice. Maybe someone wants to build up a bull of some sort. Maybe it's a Viking helmet kind of thing. Put it on top of your NPC's head. Maybe you want to make a minotaur kind of monster kind of thing. Hey Faye, good morning. Thank you for joining. Okay, so the other one is, like I said, there's a lot of new NPCs. There's apparitions. They've got different races. Not all of them, but some. Chua, Draken, Orin, Human, Granok. I don't know what they look like, but they're there. There's also an undead Buzzbing. Got the little Shades Eve icon. There's the skeletal. I think it's skeletal. Yeah, Girok, which is one of those bear creatures. There's a black a spider and a mulvarine. And then there's also one of spider eggs, like an egg sac. And then there's a surgeon, I think. I don't know what any of these might look like. I guess it's like ghosty type NPCs of some sort, but should be interesting. Um, we also have some new gravestones. Now, again, I have no idea where any of these might be coming in. If they're all going to be situated through Madame Faye, or if it's going to be some things that are becoming with the new Shades Eve, I have absolutely no idea. It's just some decor that I happen to see. I'm looking for statues here that I hadn't seen before, and I wanted to share them with you guys. So like you have the Draken gravestone, which has got little bits of horns. You'll probably recognize these from the grave, I think it's the Fab Kit, the Haunted Graveyard Fab Kit. I think I've seen these there. Um, but this could be a nice pedestal of some sort. It's not just a gravestone. It could be like a podium for someone speaking. Turn it upside down. It might be a good a fence kind of post kind of thing. You got this one that's a little bit of, got some leather hanging off of it. Again, push it down and you might have a nice altar kind of deal. There's this one with the, I don't know, it's like skull crossbone thingy going on. A little spike. Again, these big, great fence posts of some sort. Maybe the end of, I don't know, a weapon, part of a ship. Then there's this one, the fancy one. It's got some carvings on it, a nice little top. This would be a great clock topper, like grandfather clock, maybe part of a fireplace backing, top of a building. Then you've got the cracked one. And then you have the classic. They're really kind of shiny. Look at the glare of the light there. Let me move so I don't log off. So interesting stuff. Again, you might find alternate uses than just gravestones. I've used them for dirt. The modeled browns on the bottoms of some of these are great for dirt kind of bits, like if you're making a little garden patch of some sort. I've used them as mailboxes, of course, but I'm sure there's lots of other things you find for them. The other thing was that meaty. Oh, gotta switch the thingy. Now, strangely enough, this one is found in fences. I don't know who would want a fence of bones, but that's the category it's listed under. I don't know if that's a boo-boo or what, but I thought it was kind of funny. But it's called meaty ribs. So it's got this pink, gooey, stringy stuff. I don't know if this was there before, but I don't remember it, so I'm going to show it. Kind of gross. But I just thought it was funny that it's listed in the fences. Then, last but not least, we have some new building blocks. There's the Eldon trim. Again, I assume these are new, but I don't know if they are or not. It's just ones that I didn't notice. Again, it's really poor previews because you can't really see it too well, but it looks like a lot of yellow. But this one looks like a curved chunk, and then you've got the strips, like yellow lighting. Might be great for like a street for a highway kind of thing, some new types of windows. This looks like a double strip, um, and this one's even wider, double strip. I don't know what they look like on the bottoms. There might be some great wall bits, might make good for sidewalks, countertops for kitchens, that kind of thing. I'm sure it'll be something fun. The next one is the street curbs. I can spell street. We got the end cap. It's just a stone block. I know a lot of people are going to love this. It's got a little bit of texture on it. It basically looks like the cap of a pillar almost, but it's without the pillar, amazingly. It's just a stone block. I see a lot of pyramids being built and just stone houses, and they'll make great for little, I don't know, just all sorts of things. I can picture a lot of stuff. Then you have the street curb long. And this reminds me of the upside down rusty fence that I was using for the trim at the bakery. It looks like they've just chopped the fence off and left the bottom part. It's not the same color, of course, so it's not exactly that, but that's what it reminds me of. So it's got a little bit of a block on one end and it's empty on the other side. Great for joining up however you need to. Then you got the medium one. It's a little shorter. Again, really nice texture all along. Great, again, for countertops, house trim. I picture a lot of that going on. Build your own walls. Here's the short one. And shorter, a little chunky. Looks like sandstone almost, basically. And then the final bits are the sand castle parts. This, I think, a lot of people will have some fun with. There's the bridge. Notice the little bits of the starfish and the shell on there. Little fish bones and seaweed. Another little shell, little pink one. Blue shell. Then you've got the tower with some seaweed bits topped with a shell with a pearl in it. For all of you that have the aquariums, this is going to be a delight. The beach plots like Maddie's that we visited recently, they've got a little sand bucket with a shovel. Then now they can have their little sand castle as well. Got some nice little seaweed garland going on. Lots of starfish up here. Little clumps of shells along the edge. Then you have the tower miner. Look at the little fish skeleton. Big shells now. I can sense the drool. Yeah, Aurora's gonna love it as well. Then we have the turret. Look at the big shells here. I would have loved the shells just by themselves, I think. The starfish and everything. Then you have the wall interior. Now, think about what this might look like on the bottom. See how it's kind of misshapen a little bit? I can imagine people flipping it over and using it as a sandy, kind of like the Insta Hills, using that as ways to change the elevation of their plot. Especially, obviously it'll have to be a desert kind of bit. Of course, I don't know what the coloring looks like. Maybe there's weird streaks on the bottom, like some of the textures are on some of the bottoms of other things, but remains to be seen how it's going to look. Still very interesting and fun bits. Then you have the long version. What I like is they're not too repetitive as far as the decorations on the walls themselves. A lot of different groupings of shells and starfish and seaweed. Then you have the gate. I love that little curved bit. And then you have the tall wall. Fun stuff, folks. Not too shiny, but a lot of texture, a lot of different shape and uses, I'm sure folks will find for those. Yeah, I'd actually thought sometime back of how one might try and build a sandcastle now without these pieces, and I never could figure out a way that I thought it would work right, so I gave up on the idea. But this kind of just completely puts that to moot because now you can just build the castle however you want. So that is that little nice little sneak preview. Again, I don't know when or if those items are actually going to go live. There's still a lot of files, decor files that we see in the shopper that haven't ever made it to live, like the jukebox and lots of the bushes and trees that we've seen from months and months ago. So take it with a grain of salt as far as when those will be released. Now, the only ones we know for sure that are coming up, and that'll be on the 12th, when the Madame Faye prizes switch over to the new set. That's the diorama stuff, the costume pieces, and the ground panels, the sand and the space. So those are coming. The rest is anyone's guess. It might be at the same time, it might be with the Shades Eve event, and maybe never. Who knows? It's just, you know, one of those gamble things. So we're going back to Turnip's plot, and I'm going to show you what I did yesterday after the stream. I was so frustrated with that uh, wreath that I went ahead and crafted, didn't craft it, but I went and bought some more of the pumpkins, and I finished off the ring, and I just kind of got carried away and added in, uh, went ahead and just kind of finished it off, sort of. I'm really still not happy with the big pumpkin in the middle, but I can't think of anything else to use. I tried the blooming pollen plant. I didn't like it. I did add a couple of extra pumpkins on top of the ribbon to kind of make it look like there's actually a hole there and you can see through to the pumpkins on the other side. I also doubled up the top of the ribbon to kind of give it a little extra, like a puffier bow or something. Um, Maybe a little bit of rearranging of the bow strips and all that kind of thing, but I kind of like how it turned out. I certainly like the colors. If you don't want to do a wreath, you could just turn it into a centerpiece. Just take the ring of pumpkins, shrink it down to fit your table, and insert maybe like the what's it called? The frost candles, the little white set, not the green ones. I think it's green, maybe it's red. But the white ones, they would make a nice candle arrangement, or just make your own arrangement of candles using the standard ones. But I think the other ones, they actually give a little bit of light. Um, but set those in the middle, add a little bit of maybe some wheatgrass or something just to throw in a little extra color, and you have a nice little centerpiece for your table. Um, So yeah, you could probably leave off the fruit here and just have the ring itself. It could be a picture frame. Maybe you make the frame out of pumpkins and then put in a nice little scary scene. Use, I don't know, depending on if you have a thin wall or a thick wall. I'm kind of limited in what I can use because it's a thin wall, but maybe use a dome for the backing, and then put a black cat in it, fashion something from obsidian stone or something to make a painting of a black cat, or a bat, or who knows what. Um, you can also see that I did some experimenting. I tried to make a pine cone. I almost said, I wonder if anybody can guess what it is, but that's what it's supposed to be. It kind of looks not like that. I tried to make it where it was a little more open and then kind of closed on the bottom, but it didn't quite turn out like I was wanting. But that was my attempt at a pine cone, because I was, again, looking for different things to put here, and I don't think it quite turned out like I wanted. Plus, it uses a ton of windows. It's for each little doohickey here, that's a Oran leaf window. And there's like, for each little section, there's like, I don't know, 5 or 6 of them all together. And it's just, it was a pain in the rear to try and make. But I may be determined to use it as a pine cone. Again, I may rearrange this a little bit because I still am not quite happy with it. But at least the ribbon looks a little bit more like a ribbon now, I think. Um, I've also reworked this. I went ahead and removed one of the bird paintings, and going to set up a new canvas. I won't be starting that until Monday, though, I think. I just wanted to get it arranged because I knew I wanted to try using the bottom of the cellar entrance, but I knew that was going to poke through, so I took the time to rearrange this so it's a different kind of looking cabinet. Um, doesn't match anything else in here, but that's how it goes. But I got that fixed, so now I can focus on setting up the canvas. I'm not going to actually do any kind of painting yet until next week. I'm going to have to force myself to stay away from it over the weekend. But I'm going to do something similar on this side. It's obviously not going to be the same setup because I can't have the cellar entrance intruding into the refrigerator, but I'm trying different styles of backgrounds now, because I've gotten into the habit of using just the layered glass alone, and I want to kind of get away from that, go back to the actually using textured backgrounds or modeled backgrounds to try and bring out something of that a little better than just using plain old white. The white backgrounds are great, it's like drawing on a piece of paper or something, but I don't want to just constantly do that. So trying something new. So as far as more fall decorations, I really am kind of limited on ideas as far as what I think I could make out of. I tried describing something to my husband, and I think that's not a common thing, but I wanted to try and make like a wheat stack where it's like wider at the bottom, it tapers up, and it's got like rope, and then it's kind of loose at the top. And he had no clue what I was talking about, so I'm worried that if I try that, some of you also might be kind of clueless as to what it's supposed to be. So I scrapped that idea. The only other thing is just garlands and such. There's really not much you can do with that that's different than what we've already tried, like with the wheatgrass and such. It's really just kind of limiting based on the colors and things of the objects that we have available currently. I'm hoping that with a lot of like the Madame Faye stuff, anything new that we might get from Shades Eve, that our options will broaden a little bit better. But I'm not holding my breath on that. Because like I was trying to think of all the things that are orange. We just don't have a whole lot. There's the orange bottles. There's the orange pumpkins, of course. They're not cheap though. Like I said, it's 150 renown from the vendor. That might not seem like a lot, but like for something like this, if I'm making a whole structure out of pumpkins, that adds up really quick. And I hate to use those kind of things for these kind of projects all the time because for someone that's just starting in housing and they don't have that benefit of having a nice stock of renown to grab off of. That makes it a little less fun for them because they can't make the same stuff, if that makes sense. So I've been rattling my brain trying to come up with some things, and there's just not a whole lot that we have that's easily accessible and the right colors for what I'm thinking that we would want to try and make. So rather than doing the decorations, um, I think we're just going to kind of work on setting up this frame for Monday. Basically, all I've done is I've got a couple of the cellar entrances layered up. I needed two of them basically so that this looked the same over here, and to make it wide enough as well. I've put up a couple of layers of glass because I wanted to tone down the sharpness of it. I may change my mind about that later, but I wanted to get it situated first in the assumption that I was going to use it. Now, the only thing that's bugging me right now is there's a little bit of the blue flower. These here are the pod planters. And I was going to have to make some adjustments as to how that one's situated. I don't know if it's the big one or one of the little ones that's poking through there. But I wanted to get rid of the blue dot. See, it's not that one. I don't know what it is. Maybe I honestly don't know because it doesn't seem to be attached to any of these. Either I push it in so that it covers it up, or I don't know what it's coming from though. What is that thing? I hesitate to move the glass though because I had it just where I wanted it. Oh well. I think it's 3 layers of glass that I have here. What is that? Yeah, it is one of the planters. Oh, it's the back one. Okay. Right. Maybe I should just remove that one altogether. Okay. I think it's all right now. I didn't notice it until this morning and I thought, what is that blue dot on there? Basically though is I picked this one. I'm using this. I'm hoping this will be kind of like the horizon line here, as if it's a little bit of a light sky and it's gotten darker, and this will be the ground area. That's how I'm looking at it. But of course, I need some way to frame it, and books tend to be my favorite now for framing. Is the only trick is you have to double up on the corners to cover up the edges of the book part you don't want showing. And be very careful about the edges so they don't flicker because they're touching too much, or overlapping, I should say. Now I haven't looked to see if the edge is going to be like perfectly aligned, which it looks like it's not going to be. So you're going to have to deal with the book that's overlapping some. So what you do is you just push it in, push one or the other in or out. It's the only way to get to it. Now I could make it a little thicker. I could double it up. That way, if I happen to have some kind of a decor that's set in here and it's got a little bit of a bit poking out the side, it won't show. But I'm hoping I can kind of refrain from using things. I'm hoping this is thick enough so it won't poke through the other side. Again, I'm giving myself extra problems because I've built a custom house. If you're using the interior walls of a prefab home, you've got nothing to worry about. You can go hog wild with all sorts of things because you don't have to worry about what's poking out through the wall. It's hidden, so that's a bit easier than in that instant. But I also sometimes like when I'm building something new, I often try to make it where it can be what I call standalone, so that if somebody wants to use it in a place that uh, it's not convenient, then they can still use it regardless if their house is prefab or not. I will say this again though, there are issues with like lighting. I've discovered that when I make a painting, for instance, and then I share it with someone, there is that instance where it looks different on their plot because they're using a different lighting. So be aware of that as well. I think it was Cheeky's plot. I sent over a forest picture and I ended up having to rework some of it just to make it look right because some of the decor just showed up too brightly as compared to when it was on my plot. I guess my lighting is a little darker. Also, mine was on the exterior, and when they used it, they put it on the interior. That might have something to do with it. So when you make something and you want to share it with someone, always, keep that in mind. You may have to make some adjustments to it. Now, I want to remind viewers, if ever I'm working on something and you see something else that you're curious about, I just assume that most of you have seen this stuff that's around in this particular little house. But if you have a question, feel free to ask. I don't mind answering the question, even if it's been asked before, because I know we have some that drop in from time to time that haven't been with us from the get-go, so they may not be familiar with whatever we were working on before. As well, feel free to ask about any of the tools that I use. Again, I mention them sometimes, but sometimes I don't, and it's not because I don't want to share the information, it's just I don't want to constantly repeat unnecessarily. So I'm happy to mention it if you have that question in your head. Like for instance, right now I'm using Lament's housing add-on. It's not Katya's. Um, I find Lament's much more convenient as far as when it comes to duplicating parts. I don't have to constantly access the housing vendor to get a part that I already have laying out. It's just simplified. It auto pops up whenever I click an item, so it's not something I have to constantly type on to enter, like with Katya's. I'm not dissing Katya's, I love it, but there is a little bit of convenience in that regard for Laments. It's simple. I just use it for copying and linking mostly. Everything else is Katya's. Notice I'm not even checking if I have these at the right height or anything. I could, but I'm just kind of eyeballing it. So there's my frame for the new picture, and I'm going to go ahead and remove these older ones. This is when it comes to frames, I play around. In the beginning, when I was just starting with the paintings, I just constantly used the metal edge 2x4s because they were kind of thick and cheap and easy to get a hold of. And it's only been more recently that I started playing around with different types of uh, frames depending on what's being used. And I'm finding the books are among my favorite because they have a nice color and everything. Now I'm noticing that the book does not reach all the way to the wall there. That's funny. So what I may have to do is push it in and that'll push this out a little bit, but I'll worry about that later. We're just looking at it from the front. Don't look at it from the side. Look at it from the front. Not so bad. This looks like it's a little gappy. See, those two might not be in perfect alignment with one another now because I eyeballed both, but close enough. Good enough for me. Now, I had thought about trying to lighten up just the bottom or just the top. And I think the way you could probably do that and not have some kind of weird like lines in certain places, you might could just tilt the glass so that it leans more in the front and then push it in so that it lightens up just the part that you want lightened, like so. See how I've changed how it looks? Yes, it's a little frostier, more colored on the corners, but it still just lends itself a little differently. Now I'm not worried about this little bit here. Yeah, it's frosting up as well, but if you add in stones or grass or trees, that will bound to cover that up. That's something that will come later. But with any kind of painting, you always start with your background, your ground, and your sky. And once you get those sorted, then you can start layering up other things. And that's really all this process is with the paintings. You just kind of do a lot of layering, layer, layer, layer. So what I'm thinking about is doing some kind of, I don't know if I want to do like a silhouette type of thing or like actually have like, I want to do something for Shades Eve. I talked about how in the past we did like a night and a day type of painting, and then later we had the two different birds. This time I think I wanted to go with holidays. We'll do one for Shades Eve, and then later we'll do one for Winterfest. So I went with what I was hoping was kind of a darkish background. I thought about using something orange, but that reminded me of the sunset painting too much. So I didn't want to do that again because that one's more like a silhouette type of deal. Um, so I'm trying to think, maybe I want to do like an old rickety house, like a creepy haunted house kind of thing, and have like a moon and maybe a witch or a bat flying around. Just do the typical, holiday cliche type of things. Or do I want to just do a single kind of old creepy tree with like a little bit of gravestones or something scattered around, have like a graveyard scene? Um, I'm just not sure where I want to go with it quite yet. But I don't want to start it until Monday. That way we can kind of have a fresh little project for next week to be tinkering around with when we're not doing other stuff. So that's going to be the framework for this. Now I may go ahead and do some adjustments later on the edges, but I think I'm going to leave it for now just to see. I may end up doubling up on the books just to kind of cover up any excess that might be sticking out from other things we use. But I won't know that more until next week. Okay, so trying to think if there's anything else we can talk about before I head off is I think we'll also work on monster, some kind of a monster thing. We did have, is it Dills? I'm getting bad where I forget who's got what on their plot. I think it's Dill that we worked for, oh, what is it? Frankie's Bride. My husband said she looks a little stiff. I was like, well, she is kinda, in the movie she's like all kind of moving like sort of like Frankenstein. But I think we might try an alternative Frankie. I have Frankie already built from last year, but I got to thinking he might not match well with how I built her. So I might build her a more matching kind of Frankie. I'm not positive I'm going to do that or not. But I'm also going to try my hand at some kind of a stone monster. I know Bucky's already done a gargoyle, but I had been thinking about doing one of those anyway because my husband is a big fan of gargoyles, and I was thinking about doing that. So I'm probably going to use some of the swirly stones. The curved, yeah. We have a lot of these swirly stones. I think I will be able to patch it possibly together in a fashion that will work for me. And that also may be a project we'll start next week. We'll be working on both probably the painting and the monster. But I think that'll be something that'll be fun. Try. Not to try and upstage Bucky. His is a fantastic work. In fact, he's like I said, he's already put together 3 monsters, and he may be doing another for all I know. But yeah, I want to give myself at least a few things that I'd like to be able to work on this month. Again, we may just extend it on into next month, but of course we got the new CBC in November to work on as well. So we'll see. I don't want to give myself too much, but that's some of the things that I'm thinking about in my head. Um, Redoing, making a new Frankie to go with his bride, and working on a stone gargoyle. Hopefully I can give it to my husband for his plot, and then of course the Shades Eve painting. I will do some more research this weekend as far as the painting, what kind of a theme I want to go with. I'm leaning towards um, uh, like a haunted house kind of thing. But I also have the bunker, not the bunker, the haunted house fab kit on my mains plot that I still haven't tinkered with since I set it up. Um, I may make that one the graveyard. See you later, Bones. Have fun with the meeting. So rather than making the graveyard painting, I may just turn this little section into a graveyard itself. I've already put up some of the trees and stuff, but I haven't arranged them yet. See if I can get in here. It's a little tricky to get the button to pop. But I'm thinking this will be a good graveyard spot. Uh, it might be great to have some of those new headstones. I don't really do the Madame Faye stuff too often, so I may end up just coming up with some of my own, and maybe doing some type of silhouette kind of thing in the background to kind of extend it on, as if there's some hills or something out here. I don't know for sure what else, but so I've got lots to keep me busy. It's just I haven't had time to really sit down and delve into it as deeply as I'd like. Maybe I will work on this weekend. That will be my little, wow, the sun's coming up. Whew. My little side project that I can handle through the weekend. But unfortunately, it's already time that I need to be heading off. Again, we're kind of getting into a routine of hour and a half for the day-to-day stuff, and then a couple hours or so for the house tours. It's working out pretty good, but I know for some of you you'd probably enjoy, or maybe you wouldn't, but having it a little longer. It's just there's just so many things to be doing, and unfortunately, while I do have no job, I do have housework to tend to. So just one of those things. Again, reminder, we do have the ZPRE Invitational starting up today. There is going to be a live stream with Carbine. They're going to be showcasing that, and I think they're going to be also showing some of the Madame Face stuff. So you might get to see some of the other goodies, including the costumes and stuff. I know a lot of people were fascinated with the skeleton one, so that should be fun. But there's that. There's the Double XP event ongoing. There's the housing competition from Black Dagger Society that you could be working on if you're on Entity. Um, and of course, our CBDC for monsters. Uh, anyway, thank you for joining. I so appreciate it. I appreciate the tweets, the retweets, the follows, the votes, the company in the chat, of course, and just the general support. It's very appreciated. Um, good luck with your projects. I hope you have a wonderful day and have a super weekend, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye bye.